Good evening. I want to thank the community for coming out and voting to pass the budget on Tuesday. I want to thank Lisa Elsner for running a second smooth voting day. And for all of the volunteers who facilitated the election, the budget vote a second time. It was a second long day, and we are incredibly appreciative of the time that everybody put into it and incredibly appreciative of the community for coming out and supporting the budget. We had a wonderful Greeley graduation under the tent last weekend. It's always so exciting to celebrate these young adults on the cusp of their future and send them off onto new adventures. And I hope that our families celebrating yesterday had a happy and meaningful Juneteenth. These last couple of weeks of the year always seem to fly by, and I can never quite believe it's summer when it hits, but the thermometer is definitely making it clear this week. This is our last board business meeting of the school year. We've made an effort this year as a board and as a district to communicate more and more effectively and to be more available to meet with community members. We're going to continue to refine and push forward that work in 24-25 school year. One way to get involved is to join board committees. We repopulate our committees with community volunteers every other year, and this is a year that we will be accepting applications. So please keep your eyes open for an email later in the summer on how to apply for board committees. So on behalf of the board, we wish all of our families, as well as our faculty and staff, a wonderful, relaxing, and fun-packed summer.
Okay, so first we are getting ready to welcome our new assistant principal at Roaring Brook. And so I'd like Andrew to talk a little bit about our search process. As you know, Ross Cooper is moving on to become a principal. We wish him luck. And so we're in a position tonight where we're able to recommend a candidate for the board's consideration on the agenda. So Andrew?
Sure. Really happy to recommend Nadia Buffa for your consideration for assistant principal at Roaring Brook Elementary School. Nadia's been an E&L teacher in the district since 2018. Before that, she was a classroom elementary teacher. She's had a number of leadership positions, E&L department chair, E&L mentor teacher, grade level leader. She's on the research-based literacy team. She's done a lot of professional development for our teachers over time, synchronous small group instruction, culturally responsive teaching, book club, elevating student choice through stations. It goes on. We're really happy. Our search process, we reviewed over 140 resumes for the position. It was a full search, internal and external search. From that, we conducted screening interviews for 23 candidates, external and internal. From there, into another committee interview, 7 teachers and then our candidates, and finally then brought 3 to a committee at the building level, included parents, included teachers, administrators, and a student representation too, which I'm pretty used to doing at the high school and middle school level, but it was actually fantastic to do this at the elementary level and have 4th grader there. Was the highlight of the whole process. So we feel really really confident and great about this recommendation to you, and look forward to her work in the district continuing.
Andrew, and now I just want to share with the board that we've gone through an extensive process this year to create our student literacies, which is aligned with the district's strategic plan, where we went from moving from a profile of a Greeley graduate to a different model to better encompass the work that we're doing throughout the district, K through 12. And so these literacies were developed by the district equity team, and then they were refined by the CARES committee, by our full staff, and then the full community. We had sent them out, and we continued to revise them, and then the equity team, district equity team, finalized the revisions at our last meeting. And so the literacies are based in different aspects of our work with our children. So they're global literacy, linguistic literacy, digital literacy, artistic literacy, quantitative literacy, scientific literacy, and wellness literacy. And we'll send this out to our families in the week just so they can have an understanding of the finalized version of this, because this won't be the first time that they saw it. And then we plan on using this as we plan forward with our teachers about what we're trying to accomplish in our school district. Right, so now I'm going to move it over to Josh, because also we are getting ready to study 2 important components of our strategic plan around the elementary level and the middle level. And so you can see up there, I took slices of the plan out just to have it on the presentation. And this is specific to whether or not we need to rezone our elementary schools and if we should reconfigure our middle schools. So the board had gone through an RFP process, which Josh was anchored for us at the district level. So I want him to just share a little bit about the consultant that we've selected to do this work with us moving forward. So go ahead, Josh.
Sure. So we're contracting with Dr. Ross Haber. He has done studies on Princeton plan models and demographic studies, as well as facility studies and attendance zone studies in school districts throughout New York State, most recently in North Syracuse and Rome, New York. He is someone who is a self-described data head. He is going to take all of the data that we provide with him and come up with forecast models of our enrollment, and then also looking at our zoning and looking at our attendance lines to see, and also to see if a Princeton plan is a financially and educationally feasible model for us to move towards in our middle schools.
Okay, so now the other big item on our agenda, and we had been talking about this previously, we are going to move forward with our pre-K pilot. And we're going to do this using grant money allocated to us from the State Ed Department and run this through the Grafflin Annex. And we're able to partner with Healthy Kids. They run pre-K programming in other school districts, and they also do our aftercare and before care services here in Roaring Brook and in West Orchard. And they have agreed to partner with us through the RFP process to be our pre-K providers next year, which we will run out of the Grafflin Annex. So this will be a no-cost program for our parents. We plan on running it from 9 to 2, and they will also do paid before and after care, just like they do right now at our elementary buildings. And so Adam is going to spearhead this for the district as we begin to start the process of rolling this out. We don't anticipate we'd be able to start right in the beginning of September because there's a lot of approvals that we need to move through. But we are going to start launching and getting ready to assess interest as early as tomorrow if the board moves forward with approving the RFP. And the board had met with Healthy Kids about their potential partnership with us already. So we're at the point now where we feel comfortable moving forward. Right, so they'll... So there'll be some supplemental supplies and materials that we'll probably need to either move around through reduced courses, like reduced sectioning in kindergarten to support this. But the bulk of the costs associated with this is generated from State Ed. Well, like if we have some kindergarten classes that we may not run all of the sections next year based on enrollment, so we may use some of the books that are in there. We may use some of the furniture and place it in this space. So I don't want to say there wouldn't be any district costs associated with this, but the bulk of the costs associated with the program will be generated from the grant. Is that a fair, Josh?
Yeah, and so just this 194,401 is the exact amount of the reimbursement from the state. So this is a grant-funded line item that we're approving tonight. This would be to cover about 40 pre-K students in there. We have to look at the exact dimensions of the classrooms to see how many we could accommodate once we get the approval of that. So that's going to dictate that. But the 194,401 is the division of about 36 to 40 students in the grant process.
Christine, did you just say you don't think it will start for September? I didn't.
We're going to try to be ready for that, but there are approvals that need to happen through Westchester and outside agencies. I'm not sure.
Okay.
Sure. Did you get a sense of that from speaking with them recently?
Yeah, right now we have a timeline mapped out. So we're ready to go as of the kind of beginning of school, but we're not sure we're going to get all the approvals in time. Some of those are out of our hands with regard to preschool program approvals. They're expedited when a school district oversees the program, which is nice. We've already provided that letter. It's kind of waiting for the board vote tonight, and then that'll go to them. But yeah, we could be held up with some of the bureaucracy of approvals. They do a site visit, they check your site and, eventually approve it as a preschool. The good news for us is we had a previous program in there, a preschool program, a Head Start program that was based out of Mount Kisco. And so we don't have any like concerns about that being approved, but we still have to go through the steps.
And it's a lottery for who can get in.
If we have exceeded enrollment.
Right.
Yes.
That's in 2 classrooms. Right, and so this is all about the ratio, the size of the rooms, and the amount of adults that would be with each one of them that we're just waiting for.
They'd each have a lead teacher and an assistant teacher, so 2 adults.
And even if families are not zoned for Grafflin, it's anyone in CCSD who could be a part of it.
Yes. Okay, so Adam, do you want to go over the grants on the agenda?
Yeah, so we have one grant. This is a CSF Insta grant. Thanks to the CSF for, you'll see it on 5.6, Grafflin outdoor seating. So the neat part of this grant, not only are we going to get some picnic tables, but this was actually part of a persuasive writing assignment for the students. So they did some persuasive writing and it paid dividends for them. They're going to get some spaces. So this was generated by the kids and they're going to see the impact of their persuasive writing. So we thought that was pretty neat. So thanks for the CSF for participating with our curriculum and making it real for the
Adam,
kids.
my daughter's interested in vending machines. Can we go down the same road?
You might have to persuasive writing. We'll see. Yeah, that's a little bit more difficult to do. And then the next 2 are actually gifts. They're not from the CSF. They're from the PTA. So 5.12, you'll see the Grafflin PTA has a gift that they'd like you to approve for $2,000 to purchase some bins that are also double as benches. That's not the exact bench there. I didn't have a picture of the exact one, but you get the idea. We'll put the sports equipment on the inside. It pays for some of the sports equipment as well as the storage. And then you can see for Bell, the PTA would like to fund Pop a Shot for $640. And those, we actually have those over at 7 Bridges and they're very popular. And so we're going to get a couple over at Bell so the students can use them.
So I just wanted to share this as our last report regarding our incidents that happen across the district that we need to address that involve hate speech, bias, or discrimination for 4th quarter. And we have talked as a board, and I'll be working with the policy committee to see if there's a different way for us to share this information moving forward into next year. And that was also something we spoke about with the DET as in terms of like what information should we be sharing, and should we be sharing the work that we're doing differently over the course of the school year, and not necessarily providing these aggregate reports that don't really have that much information within them. So this is some of the work that we'll be talking about over the summer and then sharing with the board before the start of the school year. And then just finally, I want to recognize and congratulate all of our Horace Greeley High School graduates. We did have a fantastic moving up ceremony. I want to thank the high school team for facilitating that for the district. And then I just want to acknowledge that tomorrow are our moving up ceremonies. We've had to make some adjustments because of the heat that are for our middle school ceremonies in the afternoon, because the heat index is predicted to be, or the real feel will be too high at the time of the ceremonies. But I do now want to take a moment to thank all of our faculty and staff who've been working in the buildings the past 2 days and for facilitating the movement between classrooms and the cooling centers. It's not easy to do all of that and keep the learning going. So I do want to recognize our staff, particularly our K staff, since our high school is testing. Next week, we move into our early dismissals. Both the middle schools and the elementaries are early dismissing for different reasons. And then we have a board meeting on the 25th. And then the last day of school is next Wednesday. And then our next full business meeting for the Board of Education is on July 8th. And that is the end of the superintendent's report.